June Park Board meeting to order. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes to the agenda.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
To approve the agenda. Second. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right. So we've got the consent agenda.
Move to approve as presented.
Okay.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion. Jeff, please pull board.
Commissioner Rossi, Commissioner Deutsch,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Dawson,
Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to the regular agenda, we've got the recognition of audience and public comments. I'm gonna read this statement. Is there the audience who is not on the agenda that would like to speak? They're all our people. Or mostly our people. We call it hockey as our people. So I'm not gonna read this. I think that's probably okay. We got no more. Moving on to the director's report. Susan.
Good evening, Commissioners. I have a few updates tonight. It is a big week ahead for Fargo Parks and especially for the swimming community with our grand opening celebrations for the Island Festival. The theme of VIP event for the foundation is a splash of gratitude, and that will be held tomorrow evening from 6 to 8. Attire is tropical, I believe, tropical, beachy resort wear.
Resort. What date, where is that?
Yes, think Dave.
If you need a shirt, see Dave's.
Great connections. I saw shows up there yet.
Perfect.
The public grand opening for the new facility will be Monday, June 16th. There'll be a ribbon cutting ceremony that'll take place at 11:30, followed by an overall public celebration from noon to 4. There'll be fun, different festivities going on throughout the day. There'll be a DJ, some photo opportunities, some great giveaways while supplies last, and free ice cream to everyone who participates and comes to the pool. Today, the Sports Center was hosting the 1-year anniversary play day. So Kaylee and team organized, and our marketing events team, I think everyone works together on these types of events to have just an open day of play. So everything here at the Sports Center was free to the public to enjoy. We had a lot of people coming in, and there were several new people that this was their first visit to the Sports Center. So thanks, Kaylee, for organizing that. On Monday, June 9th, we held the Forge orientation, and that is the Park District internship program. We have 10 interns that are joining us this summer. Throughout the summer, the interns will be exposed to a variety of different work and projects with their respective departments, and also will have some other engagement and training opportunities to enrich their experience with the Park District and learn just a little bit more about what the Park District does. Also coming up this week, another big event for the Park District is Friday, June 13th, from 10:30 a.m. to 7 is the annual Midwest Kids Fest. It's the 26th annual. This is a free event, all types of different fun activities going on. The highlight, I believe, is a teddy bear parade lineup that starts at 10:30. And the host this year for that event is Midco. So we'd like to thank our Midco sponsor. And those are the updates I have.
I'm just a little curious about the Forge internship. Do you have any background on that?
Yeah, I mean, actually, if Jane would like to talk a little bit about that. It's organized within through our HR team in partnership with our community relations department.
Yeah, so last year was the first year of the official Forge program. We've had interns for quite a number of years, but just trying to put a little bit more organization into it. So we have 10 different interns in various departments, ranging from finance to community relations. We've got some in the parks department, arborists, so spread out throughout the park district, finance, and they get on project opportunities to learn the business that they're going into. So they have an opportunity to get their hands dirty or get right into the work that they're hoping to do as they build into their collegiate careers and into their workforce. We have the Forge program itself it's just some other opportunities for them to build on their overall skill set. So there's different training opportunities, like building resumes, getting headshots, some networking opportunities, attending a board meeting, and then having dinner and just collaboration. So they get to know each other as a cohort as well. So just continuing to build and create opportunities for them to grow their skill set.
So are they local college students and then Forge finances the internship or?
No, Forge is just the name of our program. Yeah, so it's a paid internship through the park district. There's college students from, most are local, I believe, or ties to the area.
And you are recreation, marketing, events, interns, and opportunity to work together on a couple of projects and just get to know each other. We got nothing but extremely positive feedback last year. We all encourage the staff to continue.
Thank you.
I was going down the Midwest Kid Fest row of comments because, straight down the street from my house, so it's been awesome. And I noticed this year we were taking volunteers to help with Midwest Kid Fest from the community. So I thought that was a great idea too, because there's, from time to time somebody will say, oh, I'd like to help our district, there's something I can volunteer for. So I thought that was great. And I'm pretty sure there's always trying to help with something. So that's great. Anything else, Susan? We're good? Sorry.
Nope, that is it.
Okay. Moving on to number three. Item number three, Broadway Square Block 9 Plaza Management Agreement. Susan Foss, presenter, and I have a feeling she's got some backup.
I've got a lot of backup here to help with this one. But I'm pleased to bring forward the Broadway Square Management Agreement for your approval tonight. In the first quarter of 2024, we executed a letter of intent with the Block 9 partners and the Downtown Community Partnership. And that letter of intent really outlined mutually agreed upon terms with the goal of establishing a long formal agreement. You'll find that full agreement included in your packet, but I'd like to take a moment just to highlight just a few of the key elements in the agreement. So the agreement is 10 years and will terminate on May 1st of 2035. During that term, the DCP and the Park District will jointly manage the plaza, with the DCP serving as the primary manager during summer months, and then the Park District will take over managing during the winter months. The DCP will be responsible for programming and events during the summer season. They'll also be allowed to utilize a private entity to assist in some of those summer events at the plaza. Included in the agreement, the Park District agrees to contribute $60,000 annually to the DCP. And what the Park District receives with that is exclusive right to use the plaza for a minimum of 4 days or 4 events during the summer. And also just overall support and funding for summer programming to keep that space active. The Park District in the agreement will be responsible for programming and events during the winter season. The Park District will own and maintain the ice equipment and replace as necessary. The Block 9 partners will assign ownership of that ice rink equipment to the Park District at time of execution to this agreement. As you recall, currently the Block 9 partners owns that particular equipment. So that will come to the Park District upon execution of this agreement. The Park District will control social media accounts associated with the plaza. The Park District and DCP will coordinate efforts for the Park District to promote DCP's summer seasonal activities and using our website for those different events. All future signage that are used to recognize Broadway Square will include recognition for the Park District, Block 9 partners, the Downtown Community Partnership, and the City of Fargo. This would exclude any sponsorships, specific sponsorships that are created through each entity. The DCP will be responsible for the daily cleaning and maintenance of the plaza during the summer. The Park District will be responsible for daily cleaning and maintenance during the winter season. The park district will also be solely responsible for seasonal winterization and the routine maintenance of the splash pad and components. Part of this agreement, a governance committee will be established to oversee the management and strategic direction of the plaza. This would really include, talking about anticipated capital needs, replacement timelines, and then any available funding sources that would be needed for these items. The committee will be comprised of the following members. It will include a designee from the Downtown Community Partnership, from the Park District, from the Block 9 partners, and also a representative from the City of Fargo. We feel like this agreement is a positive step for the community, really ensuring that the square remains an active and vibrant place for people to gather. And I'd be happy to answer any specific questions in that agreement. And also here tonight is Rocky Schneider, the Executive Director of Downtown Community Partnership. And I know he has a few words that he would like to add. So we'll go for questions along with our attorney, Jeff Holman.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here. This has been a long time coming. I sort of look at this as the beginning, not the end. I also hope we can find another spot to do these types of unique projects. It's taken a lot of work, and I think we've all learned a lot of lessons through this. But I think what I'm most proud of all working together on this is from the outside looking in over the last year, we haven't really had any contract in place, but yet everything still happened as expected and normal, and everybody sort of played in the sandbox well as we got all our different events through this, and the public wasn't any of the wiser that all this was going on. And that's, says a lot for everybody sitting around the table, sort of agreeing, let's get through this. We have a lot of work. Jeff did a lot of work getting all the right words in the right place, amongst the safeties out there. The other thing I think that Susan and I have worked on to get the city involved in this, and she mentioned the city is at the governance, even though they're not a signer of this document, there's a next step where there's an MOU that's basically a similar document that adds the city. That's how they wanted to be added into this. So we'll be working with them too. There's a draft out there, but I think this is a realization that Broadway Square plays a much bigger role than just, an event venue or a day-to-day activation of the park. It's really kind of that gem of the city, the front door, everyone's coming to the city is the first thing they see. So just appreciate Dave, Susan, and everybody on the team, all the work that gets into this. There's a lot that goes into this on a day-to-day basis. And so this slide, which I'm going to borrow to explain to my board, it's great that you did all this. There's a lot more to it. Just appreciate everybody digging in, figuring it out. It's a great space.
Yeah, it's like you said, Rocky, not that we were hiding anything, but it's really nice that the public, the optics for the public was Broadway Square's open and we're running like normal, and they didn't know all this behind the scenes trying to work out who's taking care of what, making sure that we got a long-term place rather than a short-term place. So the 10-year agreement's really nice because we can even build more on that continuity, and that's nice. It's nice. Partnerships are always good.
Partnerships are great. Just, I handled on this little thing. It doesn't add a lot to it, but I want to let you know what we're looking at for the key events this summer. We had a big concert series there last Wednesday that we're trying on that was very successful. It just shows that half the visitors again come from Fargo, with the other half coming from either the region or extra, even further than that. I think it was like 10% that were 100 miles away. So it's a draw. People are paying attention to it.
Yeah.
I'd just like to thank you personally, Rocky. When you came on board the DCP, there was a lot of uncertainty as to how this Broadway Square was going to be managed going forward. And we were concerned about prices and how it was operating and everything. And you just came in and you made it happen. You got people together. You got the collaboration going. And I personally believe if it wasn't for your leadership and guidance in getting this together, we wouldn't be here today. And so I just want to personally thank you for what you've done.
I appreciate that, Jerry. I'm here by myself representing a lot of people, so we have a good board who want to get into this. I know Block 9 Partners has an altruistic means to this too, as much as they have sensitivities like everybody else. And our full-place partners and our business improvement district too downtown, that all the businesses pay into that. They're the ones that are cleaning every day that we also administer. So there's a lot of people on this.
Yeah, I was wanting to reiterate the same thing that Jerry just said. I was going to say almost the exact same thing. I mean, obviously there's a lot of people that here on the Kevin, other partners that got this thing started in the beginning. And then, you know, we kind of hit a difficult patch, and you came on at that time and just made it your mission that we were gonna figure this whole thing out. So as much as I want to thank everybody for making sure this happened both ways, all your different entities, everything, I want to reiterate what Jerry said. And you just came in as a neutral party at that time, right? That's kind of the beauty of that, of coming in with passion for something, but not having been to the party ahead of time and said, I'm going to figure out a way to make this work for everybody. So I want to reiterate what Jerry said. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
I just think real quick, and I'm from a staff perspective, we too want to thank Rocky for his leadership. And, you know, there were some wrinkles, as he said, you know, working through that, letter of intent, it gave us an opportunity to kind of figure out what was working, maybe what needed to be changed. And, you know, we think that we included that in this agreement and feel pretty confident that moving forward, we'll continue to work well together, and be creative for great space for the community.
Okay, thank you. If there are any questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve the Block 9 Plaza Management Agreement.
So. Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion?
Before we vote, I also just want to say, I know I was kind of involved. I've been involved with this since I got elected, and have spent a fair amount of time kind of trying to work through some of this. And I think Broadway Square is such an important and vital piece in our community and for Fargo, and I think it's amazing. And I know echo what both Joe and Jerry said. Rocky, you know, when you accepted the job at the DCP, I don't think this was quite in the job description, and I think very quickly you were able to kind of jump in, get involved, and help find a way to make this work in the best benefit of the city of Fargo. And so I'm very happy to see, and thank you to the staff for all the work that you've put in as well. So I'm very happy that we're at this point today.
Okay, I think that was further discussion, so Jeff, please move forward.
Commissioner Austin.
Yes.
Commissioner Deutsch.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Dawson.
Aye, motion carries. Item number 4 is the 2026 fees, and I think that Susan wanted to just say something before we get our first hand up.
Thanks, Commissioner Dalton. Yeah, so staff will be presenting the proposed fees tonight for 2026. But before we review those specific fees, I just wanted to provide just a brief overview of those key factors that we consider when setting rates and fees for the year. We look at cost analysis, really looking at all of the costs associated with running our programs, operating facilities. We look at cost recovery goals. This is something that we've started talking a little bit more about. These are things that the staff have been working on. We're setting cost recovery targets for some of our areas and facilities, but really just determining, what percentage of cost of the program should we recover through these fees. Something else that is considered is a market comparison. Really looking at, nearby facilities, locally, regionally, and what those facilities are charging. We want to make sure that we're not pricing too high or too low relative to those alternatives. We look at enrollment participation trends, where we have a lot of demand, where it's hard to get into different programs. We take that into consideration when setting fees. And then the contrast where there's openings, we look at setting fees appropriately in those areas too. We look at facility equipment costs. How much is it, costing in upgrades, utility costs to operate some of our facilities? And then on the program side, just looking at that program, looking at the duration and intensity of the program, rates we believe should reflect the length and frequency of those classes. So just wanted to provide just a little bit of information on all of the thought that goes into it, because it's a process, as you hear tonight. And I'd like to thank all of our directors for being here. It takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of time to put these together, because we want to make sure that we're setting appropriately for the community. So I just want to note, in addition, that we have made some adjustments to the fees that you all, that we presented to you at the last planning committee meeting. And again, it's kind of an evolution. We took the feedback, and input, from commissioners, and each of our directors will highlight those changes in their presentations.
Thank you, Susan. Good evening, Commissioners. So in your packet, is our proposed fees for the 26 budget. I will cover the programs, events, and facilities, and we'll talk specifically pools. You've got a handout in front of you, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. As Susan mentioned, we review fees. We look at cost per participant, which I've sent out the last number of years that we tend to look at, the 5-year trend, cost recovery model, as well as the local and regional park districts. So a few weeks back at the planning meeting, we initially proposed rounding up fees to the nearest dollar. So an example is our Learn to Build program that's $10. If we increase that 3%, it's $10.30. And if we increase that round up, that becomes $11, which is really a 10% increase across the board. So CPI, the way Brock looked at it, was 2.7. So as we talked with the leadership group, we wanted to do a round number. So if it's 50 cents or up, it goes to the next dollar or the nearest dollar, or if it's below that 50-cent mark, we round it down. So we revised those fees to the nearest dollar, which some fees had a minimal increase and the other fees were kept the same. Athletic fields were also rounded with the recommended increase of 6% based off comparable data from the market. So in front of you, you'll see a information output and options for consideration of the fees for the adaptive programs, sports sample program, and swimming lessons. These programs are recommended from the planning committee to do an additional review. So yeah, those fees are the handouts that I gave you. So we put together the fee options for these programs and the impact of the budget. After reviewing these fees, our recommendation from staff is that we stay with the current 2025 fees for this program, these programs, sorry. The reason for this recommendation is we're working with a consultant on the park system master plan for the entire park district to look at a fee structure and then for analyzing all of our fees and come back with a recommendation from there. Any questions moving forward from the fees that you have presented or the fees in front of you? So essentially that yellow column is what we would recommend from staff to go with for the 2026 budget. And then keep it budget.
Yeah, I just want to add to Kevin, the consultants with the park system master plan have started their work, really doing a deep dive into all of our programs and offerings. And from that, we'll be able to determine categorizations if they're what's considered an important program or a value-added program. And what we'll be able to do with that information is be able to set true cost recovery models, not across our whole system, which I think has been something the district has struggled with for quite a while. But it'll allow us to really dive into each individual program and really dissect that and do a true analysis on a level much greater than we've ever done. And so some of that information will come at the conclusion of the park system master plan, which we know is happening towards the end of this year. And so we're very excited to be able to get that additional information to help us to keep zeroing in on a responsible way to still collect and charge fees for our offerings, but still have the data and the information to back it up and truly have people understand how are we deriving at those fees.
Okay, if there's no other questions, or we can ask questions at the end too. Another area we're asked to review is the pool fees. You know, in prior years, we really looked at the CPI and did that across the board at those fees, which really made the season passes on a per visit more beneficial to the pool with more amenities. So another handout that you have in front of you is the recommended pool fees from staff. So looking at the daily admissions increasing across the board, the 25% increase those admission rates. Season passes, individual season pass pricing would be set at the equivalent of 10 daily admissions. This approach allows customers to access their expected usage and determine whether a pass or daily entry best fits their need. So how did we establish this? These rates, we looked at Grand Forks, Bismarck, Raging Rivers and Mandan, Bunker Beach, and Cascade Bay. While these different facilities have a very wide range of number of visits, how they do their budgeting, from 8 to 20, their average is 11 visits of how they do their budgeting. So if you got any questions on those pool fees, we're recommending the pool fees that you see in front of you in blue.
Kevin, the Island Park adult pass is going down
Yes.
and the pool pass, the
Yes.
family pass.
So ironically, the most usage and the revenue where we get 80 to 90% is the daily use fees. So the season pass accounts for 5 to 10% of that. So as we redid these fees, it showed a benefit of about $8,000 to the bottom line. Because when we do budget, we look at season passes, but we're very conservative on that side of it. And the season passes are showing up in there, but it's the daily admissions that really settle it.
Sure. And just to highlight too is, some information that staff went back and looked at this, and thanks to Commissioner Rosted, he pointed out some things for us to continue to evaluate and look at. And our goal in setting the season pass rates and the daily rates was to really look at the different various amenities that are offered at each facility. And really start to take a look at that, because that's what our research had shown, that's what other entities are doing. It looked like a good philosophy. And then we made some adjustments. It really was a counteraction to what our initial intention was. And so what we've asked the staff to do, and I think Kevin and team have delivered, was really truly bring that back in line and get equity across the amount of visits a consumer would pay at any given individual pool if they chose that pass. And so that was really what was at the heart of, that further look and further analysis showed us that we had some inequities there. And so we went back and did some work to truly try and balance that out.
Well, what I really like about this, and I appreciate the efforts, because this obviously takes a lot of time. This isn't let's just come up with a number. There's a lot of scribbling and scraping and what do we do and do the math and calculators. But what I really like is the number of options people have now. And so a family might say, we go to Madison all the time. Let's get a household pass for Madison. And then once or twice a summer, we're going to buy the daily pass for Island Park. They can all figure out for their own household budgets what's going to work for them. So I like that. And I appreciate that once you really dove into it, it wasn't just, well, it's been this expense. Should we, we probably should go down because we're getting this much money for it. You're doing it for the right reasons, which is nice too. So I know it's a lot of extra work, and sometimes you think you get it right the first time, and then we bug you about it. You still might have got it right the first time, but you entertain us with the efforts of, okay, did we get it right? Is there anything we can change or tweak? So I appreciate that.
And just to clarify, we were in a typical afternoon. We were going on lifeguard break, evacuating the entire building, and then recharging people to come back in. And we're not doing that anymore. Is that correct? So there's a daily fee. So and that's important to point out too, right? That if somebody wanted to come spend the entire afternoon there, you're going to increase. You might be paying much less now than you were seasonal.
Kevin, I wanted to just ask about the other page with the program review. And I appreciate that too, because I know that I had asked about some of the things on this page that you went back and dug into expenses and stuff. But do you know how much the adaptive art classes cost that we continue to do without a sponsorship? Or do you have, and you don't have to give me that now,
I don't have to go back and look at that.
it's interesting because
Sure.
obviously somebody gave us money and someone gave us money to do this and provide it. And we found enough value that we just said, we're gonna keep doing this even though we don't have someone sponsorship, we're gonna keep providing it, which is great. And then the fact that, you know, two of these adaptive things, we're not changing the cost for them, including sports equity and swimming lessons, which I think you said consultants value added and important program, and I would consider both of those value added and important programs.
One of the things to also remember too is we have that scholarship program that we've expanded to the adult as well. So that's gonna be a big win for us. You know, it covers 1 to 2 programs per season per person. So I'll give you a little bit of stats with like numbers. Scholarships to date. Adults 98. This is pools. Youth 181 for a total of 279. Youth program scholarships, there's 32. Courts Plus is 88. However, they count family as 56. So that's one individual family. So 56 families. We have to quantify all that. And then we've got 37 employee pool passes that have been issued right now. So the scholarship program works. I want to thank Carolyn and the marketing team. I mean, if you haven't seen that, they've done wonders, and it's very, very professional. We brought this up to a lot of organizations to get their feedback. I know Commissioner Assey has been a big advocate for that scholarship program and getting it in the hands of those individuals.
So you said there's 98 adults who have applied and received a scholarship that a year ago we weren't doing.
That's correct.
That's fantastic. And that's, I mean, that's just gonna build as
100%.
people are learning about it and hearing about it. And I mean, opportunities for people who would have said, well, I can't afford to do that. So it's wonderful. Thank you.
I have a question. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome, it works. Kevin, you mentioned Courts Plus scholarships. Do individuals sign up through the parks website, or is that through Courts Plus?
I don't know if I understand the question.
I think you were talking about the 56 families with pool passes, maybe. Courts Plus.
Yes, these are all pool passes for Courts Plus.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Courts Plus.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Sorry.
It's all right. Zoe, you get that?
Yes, thank you.
So last thing I'll make note is for food and beverage, we have never brought his fees forward because we need to be a little bit nimble on fees for him, because he will get, Chad, our food and beverage manager, gets notification on, we just had this chocolate going up 3%. So to bring it through the planning process and back to the board, we need to be a little nimble. We can obviously work with the executive team to make sure that they understand that, okay, here's the fees that are going up now. Dave, I'm providing that information, but just to let you know that that's one of the fees that we don't bring forward because we need to put the nimble. And Chad does an amazing job. Twice a year, he goes out with the vendors of Cisco and Cashflow, and looks at their fee structure to make sure that they stay on.
Okay. Anything else for Kevin, schools, programs?
One comment on the outdoor season passes for the pools. I don't know if 10 is the right number or how you figure that out, but it's obviously it's a balance there across all pools. When I caught the imbalance looking at it last week, I thought that was interesting how it's balanced. It's even and looks pretty good. Good work on that.
Yeah, no, and also I thank the Commissioner Ross said for making note of that we can go back and look at that.
Team effort.
That's right.
It's good. Okay, so do you guys want to approve these one at a time, or do you want to go through all of them and bring that up? Okay, we can do that.
Just because theoretically,
Well, and we might run into a wall.
that's.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the 2026 proposed program events, facilities, and pool fees.
So move.
Second.
With a motion and a second, any further discussion? Okay, no discussion. Jeff, please pull forward.
Commissioner Rosted?
Yes.
Commissioner Deutsch,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill. Commissioner Hill, you there?
We trained.
Okay. Aye. Can you hear me? No.
Yeah. Commissioner
Okay. Aye.
Hasley, now that you're here, Commissioner Hasley,
Aye.
Commissioner Dawson.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Moving on to part B, happy anniversary, Fargo Park Sports Center. Good day.
Yes, it's been an exciting day to see all the people coming through the doors on a sunny afternoon in Fargo. They maybe could have been outdoors, that they chose to come here and spend their time with us. So we were excited to see everybody come through the building. I don't have final numbers yet since we're still open and play day is still taking place. So I'll hope to have those for you next month when you get to hear a formal update on the Sports Center. In your packets, you will have see in front of you the proposed fees for the Sports Center for next year. As a reminder, our fees commence June 1st, just based on the seasons and how the building is used for the different user groups. Not a ton of changes from what you saw in the planning committee. However, since there was a change on the rent side in the methodology that they were employing in terms of the rounding, in order to maintain consistency within the district, we followed suit with that methodology. So we now work rounding to the nearest dollar, rounding up. So that did bring down our turf, ice, and pickleball by $1 per hour. So not an extreme change from what was originally proposed, but there were a couple minor fluctuations based on that. As we mentioned in the planning committee, similar to the rec department, we looked at not only comparable spaces within our own market for pricing, but also comparable spaces in external market of similar size to our community to try to establish where we felt in that. So for the most part, minimal increases to each of our spaces with the exception of turf and our community rooms based on our analysis of everything we were seeing. Our rates per square yard in the turf and our rates per square foot for our community rooms were fairly well below the market average. However, in an effort not to shock ourselves or the community, we are trying to incrementally bring that in line over the course of a number of years versus in one fell swoop. So even with the proposed increase in each of those spaces, we are still well below the market average for each of them. Also, as I mentioned in the planning committee, we have 4 solid months of full operational data in which to base our analysis on the cost of operating the sports center as well as our usage patterns. So better guess than we had last year, but still an educated guess as to what we think we will see going forward. It's been an adventure not only in the rates, but also on the budgeting side to try to forecast what our usage will be and cost will be for the facility. So get better every day based on better data each and every week and month that goes by. So again, looked at our costs that we know of right now for operating each of the spaces, and that played a factor into what we propose for the rates as well. Any questions? Again, as with rec, our admission fees do include the tax in that. So the rate we're actually charging is less than what you see in front of you because we include the tax side within the rate.
Well, I don't have any questions about the fees, but there is probably not a day that goes by, and if everyone else can probably agree that someone doesn't say something about this place. And I was with the gentleman today and he said that he has come here on a day and he has spent most of the day here because he rotates from one sheet to turf to court to see a variety of grandchildren playing a variety of things. He said, yeah, we try to get here early because we want to park close if it's really cold. And then we buy a snack and then we hunker down in the bleachers. And then when that one's done, we'll move to the next one. And he said, you know, how nice it is to be able to watch our kids do stuff. And we don't, you know, there's so many things they miss because their grandkids would go out of town. They would make the trip with them. And there's not a day that goes by that someone doesn't make a positive comment about how they use this as a spectator or a user. So, and it's all positive, it's all good. And when we have a parking problem, I consider it a win. So people are just loving it. It's fantastic. So keep up the good work. And obviously, it's not just you, but it's everybody's doing a lot of heavy lifting to make this thing go. So thank you.
It's very exciting for us on a daily basis. I think I've said this before to the other staff and probably some commissioners as well, but any given day, we get to truly see the teeniest members of our community and our eldest members of our community and the full range in between. And that's what makes the day-to-day and what we do worth it. You really see the fruits of everyone's labor in the district. Everybody, every age comes through the building in one day.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the sports center recommended fees for 2026.
So moved. I'll second it.
Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Chuck, please pull the board.
Commissioner Ross, yes. Commissioner Deutsch.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Amity.
Aye.
Commissioner Dawson.
Aye, motion carries. Item C, board to approve 2026 Courts Plus, thank you, Kelly. 2026 Courts Plus Community Fitness Membership and additional fees. Kelly Kissel. Good evening.
So in your packets, you guys have. In your packets, you will have the proposed fees for 2026. Normally we come to you guys with the membership fees this year. It's a little different. When we looked at membership fees, we did take the 2.7%, round that up to 3%, which is what we have done in the past. And then looking at other facilities that compare to ours, we still try to stay, a little bit under their prices. So we have done the same this year with 3%. We have our, what's next year? So, recommendation with the red, and then there you'll see our types of memberships. And then underneath that will be the other add-ons we have with membership. That's child watch, and then the others with locker rentals, tennis court rentals, playground fee staying the same. The youth programming, let's see there, we're trying to get a gap between our member and non-member prices. So a lot of our prices are going to stay basically the same. We're just trying to increase the non-member fee to kind of match our day fee. Make it a member privilege. And then with you'll see the tennis, basketball, all the court sports, the last page. We're exact same thing there, trying to get the non-member fees to where we want them. And then this year, basically keeping most of the stuff the same for prices, just, helping the non-member. And then also on there was pools. We've had discussion on pool passes. Our members have been getting, all 5 purchase pools as a perk. 26, we're going to have members pick a home pool, and then they can upgrade the difference from that price to the either the 4-for-1 or the 5-for-1.
So they would, let's say they pick Island Park or Davies or whatever, whichever pool, they get that pass. And then they can pay nothing extra and have that pass. Or they could pay the difference and upgrade to the 4-for-1 and drive. Got it. Great. Thank you.
Any questions?
Great idea.
Great idea.
No, I think it's, again, a lot of extra work to give us a lot of details, but it covers to help us know, are we picking the right numbers and are we fair in the community and do you match up, how do you match up to everybody else? So it makes it a lot easier when someone says, gosh, whatever program or whatever place went up $2.12. Look at what's going on, and it gives us good data to be able to say this is why we're doing stuff. And I really appreciate the member versus non-member. I think that's smart. If you buy the membership, there should be some benefit to being a member and paying that regular fee, to being able to enroll in the classes and the sessions and things like that. So I appreciate that too.
So this isn't necessarily a big question, Kelly, but are you seeing any patterns just now that the sports center is open, with the courts here, and the football here? And
We are, we'll have to see how trend goes. Right now, especially the playground numbers have gone down quite a bit. Parties are still, ramping back up. We're still busy with that. And then it's hard to say on the basketball, if some of the people that are coming here will have down there. But mainly the playground.
maybe the shiny new coin will wear off.
Well, that's,
Yeah.
that's what I wonder too. I also think that, the playground, people in my life say, I'm not going to the playground on the weekend. I'm not taking my kids on the playground. So I think that might help some of ours, because you're getting a visitor here on the weekends when we're busy with other stuff. So you might get people who start remembering, hey, let's go to Courts Plus on Saturday. We want to have 800 basketball kids in the building at the same time. So, but yeah, still, it's probably too early to tell.
Yeah, we'll keep tracking numbers here next year and see how it goes.
So more specifically into Jerry's question, like pickleball, and the reason I asked that is not necessarily because of our 6 courts, but the 18 courts or whatever that was added over in Moorhead, if you've seen any decline in. I mean, is there, I guess what I'm trying to get at is there's so much demand for pickleball courts in the community that even with our 6 here and those coming out over there, that there's still that much, I mean, it's in the winter months, I guess.
And we won't see it really until winter.
Yeah.
Because everybody's outside now. The only ones that stay inside are the ones that rely on any weather affecting their play, and they want to be able to choose the time they play. So this winter we'll see numbers go.
All right, if there are no other questions or anything else to add, I will entertain a motion to approve the 2026 Courts Plus Community Fitness Membership and additional fees.
I'll move to approve the 2026 Sports Plus Community Fitness Membership and additional fees as presented.
Second.
Motion in the second, any discussion? Okay, hearing no discussion, Jeff, please poll the board.
Commissioner Austin.
Yes.
Commissioner Deutsch.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Amke.
Aye.
Commissioner Dawson.
Aye, motion carries. Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks, Kelly.
Up next, letter B, proposed golf fees for 2026. Rocky.
William something, right? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, yes. So our golf fees is presented. To increase our golf fees by 4%, just basically straight across the board, except for our range buckets and our foot golf. Feel that those are priced appropriately. In the comparison that is provided, we're still lagging behind on some of our, the other key markets, Sioux Falls, even Mapleton has got higher daily green fee rates than we do. So there is still some growth, but we just felt that a 4% increase this year was appropriate. And then rounding all of those numbers to the nearest whole number. Any questions on green fee rates?
I don't have any questions, I was in season.
So I did, yes, I did the spreadsheet.
Oh, yeah,
Yes. So
I appreciate the numbers, so don't, you're not asking questions, so it's not lost on me.
the golf season, even though, obviously the golf courses come through winter as we expected.
Yeah.
That hasn't, Rose Creek continues to do almost 300 rounds, both on the weekends. Prairie Wood is the big surprise this year, for weekend booking 250, 60 rounds. Osgood's still really well, so, as of yesterday, revenues were $75,000 ahead of last year, which is definitely was our best year. So it's trending. The number of passes that we sold is 260 passes less than last year, but I think we're recouping that by making it available 2 times to the public with our green fee and our fee revenue.
So more different people maybe are going out, getting on playing.
Well, and I think another one concern in the past was, in our surveys, the year was just, the difficulty of making 2 times.
Yep.
And I think now with a fewer number of pass holders, it's providing the non-pass holder the opportunity to make 2 times. So, and then they keep paying rates.
So you either go when it's 50 or 90. There's no in between temperature. I even charge you weather too, because I tried questioning this too. Right. But the pools are open, so now we really need 90 every day. 90 every day. Rain at night.
Rocky, as you're settling into this year role now, have you looked at or considered for future budgets after this one, anything in relation to time of day and that sort of stuff? I know I heard that some people have been concerned about the increases or whatever with membership that there's more in, I think, in some other communities.
I mean, in 2027, we're really going to take a look at our pass program and trying to develop passes, and get people into the places of our needs and not displacing full way. So, and there's some of that. The weekday mornings, as you see, the senior pass at Morehead is restricted. It's less than level offering, but it does have, play during the weekend after a certain time of the weekend. So, yes, to answer your question, we will look at that for 2027.
And if I could, I would just like to, and we're so happy that Rocky has joined our team, because, we have him that's really diving into the data and really looking at all of the different components that make up the operations of golf. And we have every intention of, at the end of this year, is really doing some community engagement, right, with our golfers, and getting some input, getting some feedback from our golfers before we make changes. So, Rocky has done a fantastic job, starting in this role and taking over being a golf operation.
Thank you. On to the senior passes. Proposing that we increase our senior rates only by 4%, and additional rates for the other groups by 6%. The intent was, some of what the concern was the big jump for the senior passes this year. Try and take that into consideration and not increasing it at the same rate as the additional passes.
Okay. Well, and I think what you're alluding to for 27, you might see some passes go down in price and some passes go up in price depending on what they allow people. If you're going to be the guy who wants to play when other people don't want to play, you might be able to play for a really good price. That's what you're going to do. So kind of like our pool passes, where we now have 7 different options or something like that. You might be doing the same kind of thing with golf. Then if you want to golf when it's the best time of the day, then it's going to cost you more than when somebody doesn't want to be out there. And I like that. That gives people opportunities, and it gives people, they can pick and choose what works best for them. Maybe their pocketbook even. I like it. I like when there's options for people to pick from where they go, time of day and everything else.
Whatever we do with advice.
Yeah.
When you buy your airline ticket, you pay more for certain flight schedules and you pay less for the 5 a.m. departure.
That's right. Still only takes 20 minutes to get through Fargo Airport, so we're still good. Okay, any other questions for Rocky?
I'll move to approve, the proposed golf fees for 2026 as presented.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, hearing no discussion, Jeff, please pull the board.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Absey,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson.
Aye, motion carries. Thanks, Rocky.
Thank you.
See how you, brother. Item B, Valley Senior Services proposed 2026 fees, all regular. Coming from the back row. Yes. Oh, well, still, that's for last.
Yes.
We saved the seniors for last.
So commissioners, you see our fee information, this is really the first year that we presented our fee information, so it's a bit of, I guess, education for everyone, but for Valley Senior Services, our nutrition and resource programs, only our transit programs actually have a fare or fee. And I'll start there. Currently, Metro Senior Ride is $3 for one-way ride fare, or $1 for one-way ride if you're going to a senior center. We have lunch rates. And then our rural transit fares are a little bit different. It's a different funding source for the rural transit. But that's $8 round trip for a trip out of the county. So somebody from Lisbon needs to come to Fargo for an appointment. That'd be an $8 round trip. $5 if they're going somewhere in the county, and $1 one-way ride for an in-town ride to a senior center or for taking a trip to the grocery store. Congregate and home delivered meals, that is completely on a donation basis based on their funding sources. We are only allowed to suggest a donation. Currently, that suggested donation is $4 per meal. And people pay what they can afford to pay in a confidential manner when they go to the center. Resource services, no fee or donations. That's not exactly true or accepted. We do not have a suggested donation or any fees for that service, but people are encouraged or can give a donation to that service if they like. So they are accepted, donations are accepted if one of our clients cares to give a donation for the resource visit. So that's our fare. We don't plan for any increases starting January of 2026. We plan to keep all our suggested donations and fares the same as 2025. Our funding years are a little bit different. Our contracts start July 1st of each year for nutrition and transit. So it could be that we take a look at those fares and suggested donations next year in the middle of the year. We have to come to the board for that sometime during the year.
So, people can buy a lunch card for transit,
Yes.
right? And they can buy a lunch card for meals, and they can do it from your website.
Right.
So if I lived somewhere else, I could buy lunch cards for my parents or aunt or uncle or my brother or whoever I want. And you also are happy to receive people who want to donate lunch cards or donate meals, I'm assuming.
Yes.
That would be an opportunity for people as well. And then, I haven't done this in a few months, so it's probably time, because I used to do this every month. But if I wanted to drive for Meals on Wheels.
You want to pay the person? We like it, call 293-1440.
Meals on Wheels. And you're always looking for a driver, government or regular driver, right?
Fill in,
Meals on Wheels.
be a fill-in or be a regular, yes.
We're doing pretty well. Our volunteer coordinator position is really starting to do a lot of really good things. I mean, she's been there long enough now, a year. That position's only about 2 years old altogether. And bringing in quite a few people, new volunteers, but it just, we lose about as many as we take in, so it's just a constant.
What was that number again, Paul?
701-293-1440.
Great.
Paul, do you, and it's okay if you don't, I just thought about this, but do you know off the top of your head roughly how many Meals on Wheels we're doing in the Fargo area?
We do about 700 and let's see, 900 meals a day. About 500 to 600 of those are meals on wheels. Something like that. Yeah. 55 routes a day in the Fargo, West Fargo area.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing. Got a great crew, got a great bunch of volunteers. It's really fun to work.
Yeah. And I think it's great. I mean, Meals on Wheels really does reduce the barrier. I mean, bringing the food to the individuals is just such a, when there's not as many like delivery services for food pantries in our area, it is really reducing barriers for seniors in our community.
It is, you know, the real simple thing too is that the volunteer goes to the door and knocks on the door and make sure that person's okay, you know, Monday through Friday, which is, you know, doesn't seem like much, but those, a lot of those people don't, I say it all the time, they don't see a lot of people. So it really is a great way to check on people and make sure that they're doing okay. Interaction.
Wonderful. Okay. Nobody has anything else to add. I will entertain a motion for Valley Senior Services proposed 2026 fees.
The budget and the fees as presented by Alderman.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Well, I just say that maybe this is the model we look at, because obviously, depending upon where the person's going and what the premise of why they're going there, there's a fee structure, and obviously it's more expensive if it's not necessarily in the, we want to provide people no matter what, but we want to get them to the senior center or whatever. So I appreciate your fee structure and the fact that there's a lot of thought put into those various.
Thank you. I think Brian Eric for that dollar fee. That was really a good deal.
John? Okay. All right, Jeff, please pull forward.
Commissioner Rosset?
Yes.
Commissioner Deutsch? Commissioner Hill?
Aye.
Commissioner Appetit?
Aye.
Commissioner Dawson?
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Paul. All right, item number 5 is Governance Committee update. Commissioner Hill.
Actually, I'm.
Okay.
This, we met on May 28th, over a week ago. We had about 5 items on the agenda. The first item was the new board member orientation. We've got a fairly decent orientation plan set up. So whenever a new board member gets elected to the park board, that we've got a very detailed plan set in place for the new board member and new commissioner. I'd like to thank Aaron and Commissioner Patsy. They were, you know, the newest board members on the crew here, and they provide a lot of valuable input. So new members that get elected to the board in the future here will have a good orientation as they come aboard. Then we talked about park board benefits, particularly for park board commissioners. They used to be called the Gold Card. I think we're going to change the name of that. There's still some work to be done on that. Stratify the benefits into previous park board commissioners, current park board commissioners, and future park board commissioners, and a little bit of work yet to tidy up on that. So we'll continue with that. Then we looked at the governance annual work plan and took a look at that and monitoring policies and everything came back fine on that. And then lastly, we looked at legislative updates, and then we talked specifically about Senate Bill 1280, which the legislature passed, which requires public comment period for all public local and political subdivision meetings, which we've already been doing that anyway, so we are compliant with the new law that was passed. So apparently there's some political subdivisions out there that weren't honoring public comment period. That was the extent of the governance committee update, and, I'm all set for questions. And Aaron can answer anything too if you, if there's other information that I might have missed. Actually, we pulled the agenda, got here tonight with March 26th. So I don't have more detail there, so, anyhow.
Oh, this is good. Okay, anybody have anything else for the good of the order? Not, meeting adjourned.